Hey y'all, Knight here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start recording this video talking about the skills for the Horizon TRPG, and basically I just want this to be a brief overview of the skills, what each part of the skill means, and how to read it, and then also how to go ahead and put it into Roll20 character sheet. As you can see, I've got the same character from the last video open here, and we're going to go ahead and fill in all the different bits for everything for our level 1 character, and just go over all the tags and everything. Probably also go over some of these debuffs and things, since a lot of skills end up putting these abilities onto you. When we get there, we might get there. And I might miss some stuff, but it'll probably get covered in a rule video I'll do later. I was planning on doing another rule video where I just go through all the rules chapter by chapter and making a video for like each one of those. I don't want to make the videos too long because people don't usually want to sit and watch long videos. So I'm on the basic skill tab right now of the skill spreadsheet from the last video. You can see the name of the ability here. You've got the tags, which are 1 through 4 here. Some skills end up having more tags. It just depends on how they designed it or not. And usually it's very clearly marked. So for this, it's a basic ability, so it's marked with the basic tag, scout tag. Scouting means there's a point where you can go ahead and scout in front of the party for threats and things like that. And this is something that's useful in that situation. The max skill rank, or SR, not available because everybody has the ability for this. You can't level it up, so everybody has access to this. Timing, which is when you can use this ability. So for this, it's during the briefing timing. So for the briefing, that's usually when the dungeon master or the game master will go over like what you see in front of you, like the current situation or the scene, right? Um, so if you enter a new room and the dungeon master starts to describe like the cave you've just entered or something, he's briefing you on the new scene. So this would be a situation where you would do enemy scouting, like I want to scout the cave for any enemies, and then you would do the check. Now the check is your roll. You would roll 2d6 plus any other bonuses you have. So for this, it would be plus athletics. So if we look here, we have a lot of athletics because our strength is really high. So we'd have a +3 bonus to athletics rolls. And if we decided to take that accessory that also increased our athletics rolls, we'd also have another boost to that roll as well. So we'll go ahead and roll athletics here. Just because. Well, that's pretty good. If you look at the skill sheet, result of 10, you learn the number of enemies appearing. Result 20, you learn the name of the lowest ranked enemy, and if there are several tied for the same rank, the GM's choice, along with whether they have the boss or mob tags. A fumble means if you roll 2 ones. Now, a fumble is really hard to get in this game because the more dice you have, the less likely you are to get a fumble. A fumble specifically says in the rules, every single die you roll for accuracy or a check has to roll 1. Uh, and getting a crit is actually a lot easier because any 2 dice have to roll a 6 and you get a crit. It's a nice little thing to know about the game. So this box down here is the effect. We kind of skipped ahead a little bit, but this is the effect box. So this is the target box. So the target, when it says refer, that means you have to refer to the effect box in order to learn who it can target and how it targets. Over here is the cost, which is always a hate cost, which is your threat mechanic in the game. You do not want to accrue large hate because then you end up getting aggro on all the monsters, and then the DM can just like nuke you into oblivion. It's much better to be low on hate, even if you're tanking, just because of the hate damage multipliers that can get applied to you, and just do nasty damage, just go straight through your armor. The range is how far the ability can reach, and also right here, refer. So you would refer to the text box here. So here you can see it says 20 squares. So that means anywhere within 20 squares. Go ahead and get a ruler out right here. See, Got 8 squares, 6 squares, so it goes way beyond this like little battle map here I got set up. So it goes way farther beyond. All right. Now, there's also things like range close. Now, in Log Horizon, you can be within the same square as another person, and that's when you are close to something. The DM or GM can determine how many people or things are allowed to be within the same square and who can fit. So if the if the DM says you can all just pile into the same square and you're all fine, then you're fine. If the DM says like only 4 people to a square and you try to have like a 5th person come in, oh, he can't come in because there's too many people in that area. So it's all dependent on what the GM says there. Range of 1 square, similar to 20 square, it's just way shorter. So let me see if I can find something that is different than that. Let me go to like Sorcerer because he has a lot of AoE stuff. Here's one, wide one, in a parentheses with P next to it. If you just look at this, you probably won't understand anything about that. But what that means is this game works on the Manhattan style system. So if you look at how I use this ruler, right, it's 1 to go sideways, but to go diagonal, 2 squares. That's because the Manhattan style square system means you can only go north, west, east, or south. Can't talk today apparently. And basically that means if you want to move diagonally, you kind of got to do that, right? So you can't just move diagonally. You have to do like this, then that, then this, then that if you want to get diagonal. So wide 1 means that 1 away from the person or the target that cast it, the target you cast it on, is the area of effect. So let's say that EJ here cast an ability on Rocky that does a wide 1 damage around him, right? Put this other guy over here. So if EJ casts a spell that has 2 range, but it's not range. Target wide 1, but it's target wide 1, but it's a range of like 2 or something. It's a range of 4. So he could be even farther away technically, like back here. The range of 4, but the target is wide 1, P. That means that he gets to pick whoever is in the target radius of the wide 1. Now, wide 1 is this. That 1 square north, the 1 square to the west, the 1 square to the south, and the 1 square to the east. That's wide 1. If a character is here, which is like the 2 squares, they're safe. That's wide 1. You'll see things like wide 2, which means that it would hit this square, and it would hit this square, and then it would hit this square, and then it would hit this square. So 2 away from the target. That's wide 2. Then you've got wide 3, wide 4, so on. Now, you've also got things, but instead of a P, which is for pick, meaning that you can ignore hurting your teammates. You can just, if you have a big old damage spell and you drop it on top of your teammates, you can choose to not let the damage hit your teammates. That's what P means. And if you choose to want to let some mobs live while other mobs die, you can do that too if there's some sort of special situation where if a mob dies, it heals another mob or something, or buffs it or something, and you want to keep that one alive for longer or something, you could do that. That's wide. There's also line. Line's pretty self-explanatory. So line is just in a line as far as it says. And I've already explained the pick, and A in parentheses is all. So that means no matter what, it's going to hit everybody that's in the radius of it. Alright, so limits. So for limits, you've got scenes, rounds, and scenarios. So a scene is like your change of environment, right? So let's say you get your quest from the village, right? Before you head into the forest, whereupon you find a cave that holds the last boss. That's technically 3 scenes, right? You've got the village scene, you've got the forest scene where you're exploring the forest, and then you've got the cave scene where you find the cave with the boss. So for spell maximize here, you could use spell maximize once per scene. So if you wanted to, for some reason, you could just activate spell maximize like 3 times once for each of those scenes. Now, if it's once per round, once you're in combat, and it's part of like your round or whatever timing the timing says it is, you can use that ability once per full go around. Everybody has their go around. Once it's your go around again, then you can use that ability again, and that's for a round. Scenario means that the day you sit down to play this adventure out, right? Be it a one shot or a campaign, you have one use of this ability until the next time you guys sit down to play together. So the scenario abilities are very powerful, but they're very, very limited. And they're also usually cost a lot of hate too, because they're supposed to help turn the tide of battle. Now, depending on the DM, the scenario may be what I just described, where it's every session where you sit down and play, or it might be until you finish that particular quest. So if you are on a quest to go and defeat that boss in the cave, until you defeat that boss in the cave, you're not gonna be able to get that spell back after you use it, or unless you abandon that quest and just go somewhere else. In that situation, you find a new quest that's a different scenario, then you might get your spell back. But otherwise, it's usually when you get the next session started. Alright, area. I have not talked about area. Area is basically the entirety of one square. So it's like wide, but it's like just a single like one square that you're on. So if EJ was to cast something with area right here, it would only affect things in this area and not any other place. And of course, if it has A, it means all in that one area, and if it says P, it's all in that. You can pick who you want in that area. Let's see. So that's wide area line. Range is pretty easy. Let's talk about the timings. All right. So timing constant. That means it's just on all the time. Don't have to worry about it. It's just on. For things like styles, you can only have like one style at a time. And I believe in the rules you can like swap between active styles, but it's like you can't have both active at once, and you can't swap them mid-round in order to gain an advantage like that. It doesn't really work. They kind of don't mesh. Preparation tag. These are really good. So the preparation tag, like I mentioned in the briefing, you can use preparation tags before the fight begins as like sort of a free ability. You get like one preparation ability you can use, and that is like a pre-fight. You realize the fight's coming up and you prep yourself. There's also food and potions and stuff that also have this tag that can help you out. So preparation's a good. I've already talked about training in another video. You can only have a limited number of training skills depending on your level you are currently. When you start your character at level 1, you're going to have 2 available. Very, very, very strong, but they're very, very limited. So this one just gives you an extra damage die to the chosen tag of Flame, Cold, or Shock, which is super good. That's an extra damage die just straight on top. Alright, movement abilities will, you're hindered. You can't use movement abilities, so if it's a movement tag, you just can't use it. It takes up your timing move, which is like one of the first actions you can do during your turn. Timing before check means before any check is made to see if attack hits or something like that, you can activate this ability. And down here it says you can use this just before you make a perception check. So before a perception check, you can gain a +2 bonus to that check. Alright, so let's start talking about the different fire tags and flame tags and stuff. So with this, the damage of the ability takes on the tag that it has. So the magical damage is also flame damage. So if the target has a weakness to flame, you would then calculate whatever the weakness does into the damage of this ability. Things that say like Fate 1 or Hate 1 or something like that, these are optional extra effects that the skill can do in addition to its normal effects if you pay the cost, the extra cost. So if it's like hate 2, then you get 2 extra hate on top of the hate that's already there, and you can activate the labeled ability, written ability right there. For this one, it wants you to spend 1 fate point, and it says if you've reached your limit for the skill, you can pay a fate point to use it again. So it's once per scene. So maybe you want to use it again, and you have a fate point, and it's like, I'm going to spend my fate point to use it again. So success, obviously, on a success of a check, you can activate this secondary ability. There's also things that say like effect. Effect is like you roll a secondary 2 die, and then you see if that activates. And if it does activate, then you do the effect. So failure, if it fails, then that's how it activates. So CR is an acronym for character rank. So that means like for this character rank 11, the pursuit intensity goes up by 3. So the higher level character you are, the higher rank, the more damage this ability will do. So it's nice later on. Skill rank 2 and skill rank 3. That means that when you level this ability up, sword, sorcerer style, that means you get these extra effects in addition to the level 1 effects that you just get with it. Let's see. So that's style. There's also like a stance, which is similar to style, but you can have a style and a stance at the same time. But you can't have 2 stances. You can't have 2 styles at the same time. They just conflict. So that takes care of a lot of that. I'm gonna think in my head real fast to see if there's anything else I could think of there. We check out assassin maybe. So this is another element tag, blight, like the unholy tag. So weapon attack is a tag that basically describes that the attack takes on the weapon. So you can use it with like a ranged weapon or a physical weapon, and you can still do the attack with either weapon. It's just the description of how you attack changes based on like what weapon you're using. That's all weapon attack means. Let's see. Ranged weapon. Obviously, the range is as far as the weapon can shoot. There's that. Timing, damage roll, cleanup. So the way the combat works is it starts with a setup, then it goes into an initiative to see who goes next, right? And the initiative will happen after everybody's turn to see who goes next, right? And during that initiative period, you can use anything with timing initiative, so that's really good too. So then you've got if it's your turn, you've got like your move, your minor, your major, and an instant ability. So anything with those timings you can use on that period there. That's those timings. Okay. Cleanup happens at the end of everybody's round. That's what I was about to say. So once everybody, even the enemies, have gone, then the cleanup phase happens, and that's when you could use something like this ability. All right. So that explains basically everything about the weapons, like the styles, the stances. Light obviously means you need a light weapon, just like how the spear weapon that we got in the last video means we have to use a spear to use that ability. That explains all those, and of course the combat in general and such. So now that we know that, let's go ahead and start filling in some of these abilities here. We're already at like 20 minutes. Perfect. Go ahead and open our character here. So we've got Battle Master. Battle Master is right here. It says you gain a +2 bonus accuracy when combat begins. Increase your hate by +1. Really good. You also get it by default. So I put that in the effect column down here. Go back. No cost, no limit. So just uncheck cost and limit. The target self. Copy that. Put that in. Timing constant. Put that in the timing. Range is close. Alright, that's done. And you can put in tags here if you want. Right? You can put in like auto. You can put in like combat if you want. I really wouldn't though. mostly because it just kind of wastes time. And Battle Master, if it's going to be a constant, you don't need to worry about it at all because it should be always on. You know? So check. Obviously, there's no check. And therefore, because there is no check, you don't have to worry about any damage or healing. Now, so you only use this if the skill itself has an additional accuracy bonus that other skills don't. So you would not use this for this ability, even though it gives a +2 bonus to accuracy. You would actually put that +2 bonus in your bonuses tab here, in your accuracy down here. So that's that. Anchor Howl is pretty much the same. I think I want to show you how to do the damage dice and the different types of formulas you can do with the damage dice. So I'm going to go and find the Scarlet Thrust. Here we are. So Scarlet Thrust is a combat melee attack spear. Right? It's got a max skill rank of 5. So let me make sure I have max skill rank is up to 5. So you see here, skill rank and max skill rank. You want that to go to 5. But this regular skill rank can't go any higher than 1 because we're only character rank 1. So now we got that. Scarlet Thrust has a hate of 2. Fill that in. Got no limit. I can use it as many times as I want. The range is of the weapon. And my weapon is close. Range close. That means I can only use it against people that are in the same square as me. I can only target one enemy with this ability. And the timing is major. Alright. I'm not going to bother with tags on this. I already know all the stuff to do with it, so what would be the point? So for this, we can look at the check. It says opposed accuracy versus evasion. So we go ahead and fill that in here. The check, accuracy versus evasion. And so you want to make sure you pick this one and not the no damage one, because what's going to happen is if you pick the no damage one and you roll, it's not going to do the damage formulas over here, or even your custom ones. Now, if you have bonuses to accuracy and stuff, you can start doing like custom spells and custom damage stuff if you want. And if it's a heal, you can also make it selected for healing to make it just automatically go through. And if the check is like automatic and automatic no damage, then you can do that too. But for us, we're going to do accuracy versus evasion. We don't need to add anything to the custom check or the accuracy bonus because we already have the bonuses for Battle Master in there. And the bonus for having a 3 mod value is already added by default. So now we'll start doing the damage and healing. So if we look at the skill, the damage says deal 3 dice plus attack power physical damage to the target. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. So it deals plus attack power physical damage, right? And it's going to be 3 dice. Now, the reason I'm going to put 3d6 in here is because 3 is the number of dice we're rolling, D stands for dice, and 6 is what we're rolling. We're rolling 6-sided dice. In Log Horizon, you only roll 6-sided die. There's no other die type. Now, if there was something that said, like, increase this ability by plus strength mod value or something, that's where you would use this, right? So if you wanted your mod value, it's this. And if you wanted your base strength and stuff like that, it's this. And when you would do this, you would put this, and you would do like ×1 for just a straight addition, right? Because it would take your strength mod value, which is 3, multiply it by 1, which would give you a value of 3, and then add that on. Now, the ability here says you recovery plus skill rank times 3 HP, right? So for that, you're basically going to have to keep that sort of in the effects down at the bottom, and you won't really be able to have that as part of the damage / healing roll, unfortunately, just because it's a bit of a unique case. Usually it only takes care of damage or healing. That's why the slash is there. So I'm going to take this strength thing off because it doesn't even have that bonus in there. There's no point in having that. This section right here at the bottom is for if the formula here has a skill rank plus die, that's when you would use this section right here, right? So if it says you get 1 die per skill rank, you would put a 1 here, and then you would put a d6 here. And then what that would do is it would roll 1d6 times your skill rank, right? So 1 times 1 is 1, so it would roll 1d6. If I had 2 skills and a skill that had a different formula, it would be 1 times 2 skill rank, which is 2 dice, right? So that's how that works. That's what this is here for. And that way, you don't have to go back every time you level up and increase the die by 1 every time you level it up for every ability. And you're going to end up with a lot of abilities. For instance, I'll show you a character named Mom, Cat Girl. She has a lot of abilities here. If she had to like level each of these up like one by one, it would be super annoying. Like look at all these abilities. So no, she's not going to deal with any of that. All right, so take this out because we don't actually have any of those bonuses for this specific spell, and take it back. 3. All right. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna go ahead and roll this real fast to see if it works. All right. So we got our accuracy. That right? Yep, that works. Got our damage. Now the one thing I can tell for sure is that we did not add in our weapon mastery spear. The weapon mastery spear we know is a training ability that is a constant, and it gives us an extra die to our spear abilities, or spear attacks. So for this, I would actually just add another die into the formula right here, so that way when you roll it, it just rolls it, and you don't have to worry about it. And then when you roll, look at that. That's a lot of damage. Alright, so now that's done. And the reason I'm not filling out Weapon Mastery Spear is because it's basically the same as filling out Battle Master. Similar to Anchor Howl and Decoy Action. They're all similar to just filling out Battle Master. I just wanted to show how to do the damage and healing section here, and how to do the check section, and like what each of these little sections are for. In fact, I can also try to find some more like examples that show you exactly that. I don't want to make the video too long, but I believe there are some mage abilities that show you some of that. So, so here's an ability right here that says SR plus 3 dice. So your skill rank plus 3 die attack power physical damage. So let me think about that. If I had to do this, what I would do for my formula here is I would put the 3 die in here, right? Because you're just adding straight up plus 3 dice to the attack for this ability. Then down here for SR, I would put in the D6 and a 1. So that way every time I increased the skill rank, it would increase this number by 1. So if it's a 1 at the moment, and I have the skill rank as a 1, it's only going to increase the die by 1. If I upgrade my skill rank to 2, then it would increase the extra die thrown to 2. So, and that's just how I would fill that out to make it super easy for you guys. So that's an example just from like one I just found here. Let me see if I can find one that says stuff about the strength mod value. I think it's either Enchanter or Sorcerer that has one like that. Real quick, this will probably be like the last thing I do in this video too. Here it is, int mod plus 8. The Thornbind Hostage. It's iconic spell. So for this ability, what I would do is when you go here, you would go, I believe it's int mod, right? Int mod plus 8. You take your int mod 1 and then put an 8 up here, so it would add your int mod to that. And for this, I would put that there, and it doesn't look like it does. It just adds pursuit stacks. So what I would do is I would take all the damage modifiers out here, and I'll take this out too, just because I want to roll it. I want the thing to pop up. So for the damage, that would be the amount of pursuit it would roll. So it would put in like 10 stacks of pursuit. 2 stacks of pursuit with a rating of 10. 2 stacks of pursuit with a rating of 10. And it's accuracy versus resistance, so you would change accuracy versus evasion to accuracy versus resistance. So that's how you would do that. That shows you how to use the different boxes here and everything like that. All right. That's pretty much what I wanted to show with this video, because it makes your life a lot easier with this. I think the next video is just going to be going over the rules of the game just bit by bit, because some of the rules are easier to explain just going through it instead of trying to do it like this. So I'll have my sheet up, I'll be reading through it, and I'll start talking about the rules and probably spice it up with some of my own experiences playing the game over these last couple years. Alright, well, thanks for watching the video. See you guys later.